Hi Neha, how are you?
Hi, sir. I'm good. How about you?
I'm good too. So can you tell us something about yourself?
Sure. So, my name is Neha Goyal and I am from Delhi. About my education, I've completed computer science engineering in 2020, and after that, I pursued PGDM in operations management, and that I completed in 2022.
Hmm.
About my experience, I'm having total 3.10 years of experience, and I'm currently working with Paytm. And about my project, I'm currently working with a payments project where there is two types of app: the customer app and the merchant app, and
Yeah,
there is a
so
back office
yeah,
portal
sorry to
as well.
interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. So that's project details is fine. So I got the update that you're working in the company and the project. Okay, now which tools you are using to automate the application?
Okay, so basically I'm working on UI automation and for that
Mhm.
I'm using Selenium with Java.
Okay. Can you tell us something about the automation framework? So you have to tell the generic details. You don't have to reveal any of the things that are related to your project or organization level. Hmm? Yeah.
Okay, so basically in automation framework I'm using basically I'm working on the data driven framework for which I'm
Hmm.
using multiple files and I'm also using the form concept here, the page object model,
Okay.
where I used to keep the basic files and everything there, because it is used to like reduce the I can say it is used to reduce the duplicacy in the code, and it basically maintains the code extensive to use we can anywhere. And for that I also create some files and folders to keep
Hmm.
my screenshots to keep the test scripts and also to keep the dependencies and the configuration. So in
Hmm.
my framework I also use the kept a folder where I'm keeping my excel files, so from that I can extract the data while doing the automation. So that becomes easy for me to use the data further in any in any module. I can use that. I can reuse the code basically. So that
Right.
is about thing.
Great, great. So is it integrated with Jira?
No.
Is your automation framework? Okay. So let's say if your automation finds some issues, your automation suite, which you have kept for execution, it finds some issue. So how will you log that defect?
So there I have created a screenshot folder. So there
Hmm.
I capture the screenshot, whatever test case get my fail. So the screenshot gets stored there. So I just pick the details from there, like whatever the scenario which is getting failed. So
Hmm.
I just kept that scenario with the screenshot and then log it to the Jira with the screenshot and whatever details I'm having with the test data. So everything I mentioned on the Jira.
Okay. So let's say if you have kept some regression suite for running. So it might take 3 to 4 hours, right? And you might get
Right,
lots of screenshots. So you will have to take out some time in identification of those screenshots, in identification those errors,
right.
right? So don't you think it will be good to integrate with Jira or some defect management tool?
Yes, yes, it will be great if I integrate the tool with the Jira so that it will be easy for me to log the
Mm.
defects in a very easy manner.
Right, right. And have you integrated your automation framework with CI/CD framework, with CI/CD pipelines? Is
No,
it
I'm
no?
not.
So how do you trigger the automation? You are running from command line?
No, basically what I do is like I just create my script and then
Mhm.
handing over to the person who is actually in in my team. There is a person who is completely in automation testing, and
Okay,
I'm working on both manual and automation. So I just hand over to
okay.
them and then he help me to execute.
Mm-hmm. So how much time do you give for manual testing?
Basically, my main priority is manually first.
Okay,
So initially, if there is any module, so for that I perform the end-to-end testing, and once it is done, then only I go for the automation.
okay.
So for automation, basically, if I take a ratio, so I'm
Mhm.
performing 80% manual testing and then 20% automation.
Okay, okay, got it. So now let me share my screen. I'll show you one Java program and you need to tell me the output of this program, right?
Yes,
So now you would be able to see the screen. Is it visible?
yes, yes, it is
Yeah.
visible.
Shall I increase the font size?
Yes, yes, yes,
Hmm. Okay, now is it
yes, I'm
visible? Okay.
Right.
So this is the program, right? You need to tell me the output of this program.
Okay. So, it will give me the error.
What sort of error?
It will give me the compile time error.
Okay. Why so?
Because here I've defining a function. Sorry, I'm
Mhm.
defining a method and I'm just returning the value. I've not put the uh, type of the value, like this is the integer value, and I'm directly calling it in the print statement.
Mhm.
So it will not execute.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the output is compiler error, right? So what
Correct.
we did, the mistake in this program was we called a static method, right? Without creating an object.
Right.
Sorry, we called a non-static method in this
Not-
particular program. Yeah.
Mhm.
Without creating an object of it, right? So if
Right.
we create an object and then call the method, then the program will compile. Otherwise, it will give us a compiler error. Okay. So by
Okay.
defining the method as static, we can make it into the correct statement. Okay. Okay, now, let me zoom this also. Okay, now you are given an integer. Okay, let's say 115 is an integer. So you have to tell the logic of how will you find the nearest palindrome to this number. For example, nearest palindrome to 115 would be 111.
Triple.
Nearest
Right.
palindrome to 117 would be 121, right? So you are given
Right.
this integer. This is the input, and we need this as the output. So what would be the logic?
I can do one thing like I've taken the integer value as 115 initially,
Hmm.
and after that I can like run a for loop
Hmm.
for which I can check for the like increment. And
Okay.
inside the for loop, I can
Hmm.
use the if statement, if and else. So
If
in
and
the if,
else. So one loop you will use, or any other condition and any other loop statement you will use.
I can do one more thing, like I can take two loops where I can, in first loop, I can check the increment statement, increment values actually. And in the second loop, I can check for decrement. So
Hmm.
whatever comes first, it will print that one. I can go like this.
Okay. So
But
let's say
with
if you
comparing
take
to
this, okay, now let's consider this as the input, your first input you are taking 115. Okay. Now you are incrementing this. So it will
yes,
become 116, right?
right.
Then again you will decrement it.
No, no, like
Hmm.
mm, I'm running the two loops simultaneously. One
Hmm.
is incrementing and other one is decrementing. And
Hmm.
after that, I'm just comparing both of them. Wherever it will get the first value, which is actually a palindrome, then it will stop the loop. It will stop the loops running,
Hmm.
and it
So,
will show me that particular value.
right. So as per your logic, we'll come to a conclusion whether 115 is a palindrome or not, right? We need the output as the nearest palindrome number. So we need the number nearest to 115, which is palindrome or not. So how will you
Yes,
identify that? Huh.
yes. For that, I'm using the loop like for in my increment loop, it will
Hmm.
go for 116, 117, 118 like this. And in
Okay.
my decrement loop, it will go for 114, 113, 112, and then 111, like triple one. So once it will find the triple one value,
Hmm.
it will show me like this is the palindrome. So for that, I will put a condition in if statement.
Okay. What if condition you will be using?
Where is Selenium? In if statement, I
Mhm.
can work like that. Let's suppose I've got the 111 number. So I will just take, like, I will apply some division here. It
Mhm.
will divide with the 10 value. So with the remainder, I can check if remainder what I am getting is reversible as in palindrome work.
Okay, fine. See, first of all, you have to understand what is palindrome. Palindrome means whether you move the number from here, from left to right, or from right to left, the number remains as it is, right? For
Right.
example, you can take this 111 value, 121, 131,
And
141. All these values are palindrome. Whether you
right,
move from left to right or right to left, the number remains exactly the same. For
right.
these numbers, what happens is if you give input as 115, so the reverse of this will become 511, right? So this is not a palindrome. So every time you
Mm,
have to keep if condition, the whether you are reversing that particular number, it's taking that same as what you had as an input variable, right? So that is one of the logic that you have to apply. Second logic that you have to apply is when I'm saying nearest palindrome, right? So you have to consider whether the value is greater than 6 or not. So if you say after 116 onwards, so it should not catch that value, right? We are looking for palindrome number nearest to this. Now, for example, if you are taking input as 115, so you can run the logic from 111 to 120. Okay, out of that, whichever is the nearest one that you will get as 111. Okay, for this particular input,
okay.
right? Similarly, for this input, you will have to go for 121. Okay, so this is a tricky thing in this question. So let this be an open question for the people who are watching this video, right? So I want you to come up with the logic in the comment section of this video. How will you identify the nearest palindrome? Identifying whether a number is palindrome or not is a comparatively a simple task, right? But identifying the nearest palindrome is bit where your logic would be required.
Okay, so I'm having just a
Mm,
simple query. Like
mm.
the output is already known,
So
as you just show me the
yeah, yeah.
one.
So let's say this is not known to you. Okay, this is the
Okay,
string. This is an integer that is given to you. This is the
okay,
number that is given to you. Okay. Now you have to identify the nearest palindrome. Similarly, tomorrow,
okay,
if I give you this input as 121, so nearest palindrome is that number itself.
right.
Okay. So two kinds of logic we need. One is if the number itself is a palindrome that you have identified with the loop condition. Second thing is the nearest palindrome that you can get to that number.
Mhm. Okay,
Okay.
got it.
Now let's go to the next problem. Okay, so this is a manual testing based question. Okay, you are testing one particular game. Okay, and all the users are connected to the game. When one user tries to connect to the multiplayer game, it's a multiplayer game. You would have played or you have experience of how a multiplayer game is, right? Multiple
Yes,
people
yes.
can play. You can take an example of Ludo, you can take an example of cricket, right? Now, whenever one user is trying to connect to the multiplayer game, he is getting error occurred kind of a
Okay,
message. There is an error message that is displaying on his screen and he's not able to proceed, right? So how would you troubleshoot this scenario?
only one of the user is getting error.
Yeah.
So there might be the device issue or the version issue,
Mm,
which he is facing. the game is not compatible with that particular device or version.
Mm.
Or there may be some internet connection as well, like he's not getting the proper connection because everyone is able to join.
Okay.
And then
What else?
there may be operating system issue as well,
Mm.
like the game is supported to the Android device only and it is not supported for iOS and vice versa. So
Okay.
that may be the reason.
Mm.
And okay, the user may not have downloaded the new version of the game. That may also be the reason. Is not updated the game, so that's
Mhm.
why he's not able to join.
Right.
Yes, I think these are the issues
Right.
he
Right.
may face.
So that's a good thing that you were able to analyze the situation, analyze this scenario, and you were able to think through it. How would you troubleshoot this scenario? So whenever this kind of question comes to you, so you can tell, was it working in the previous build or not? Was that is that a regression issue or not? If it is working earlier, so you would have updated your test case as pass fail result in your previous release testing, right? So if it is
Right.
pass, it was working, so that means it's a regression issue. Then you will open the release notes that you would have got with the build. Is there
Mhm.
any functionality that has got changed, or any behavior that has been enhancement that has been introduced, or any bug fixing has been done in this particular multiplayer thing area, right? So this is how you will start the troubleshooting. After troubleshooting, you will come to know, okay, it's a version based issue, it's a license based issue, it's a device based issue, right? So that's how you can troubleshoot. But overall, I'll consider your answer was the valid one, and you were able to connect to those dots, right? So that's a good answer. Okay, this is done. Right. So I'm done with these questions.
Mm.
Okay. Now consider a scenario where there is a drop down. This is an automation testing related question. Okay. If you want, I can share my screen. I'll explain you. Okay. Uh, there is a drop down. Okay. And it's a country based drop down. So all the countries in the world are being listed.
Okay.
Okay. Various countries are listed. Now you have to create and test automation script such that it selects the country that is listed at the 100th option. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you are working on Selenium with Java, and
Right.
your test case, or in your test scenario, it has been written that you have to select the country that is placed at the 100th option in that drop down, right? So how will you automate this scenario?
Okay, so initially I just get I will initiate the web driver
Hmm.
where I will open the Chrome driver. Let's suppose I have worked on the Chrome, so I'm opening the Chrome driver, and after that I will go for that particular drop down and will find the XPath for this. Or I can use any other locator to find the XPath for that particular drop down.
Hmm.
And after that I will create a select class where I can use the select by index method. With the help of this, I can just put the 100th in the select by index,
Hmm.
the circular braces I'm having. So
Hmm.
there I will put the index. And after that, I can call the 100th option.
Okay.
And I can also print that particular
Right.
option.
So you are using select by index. Okay. What if your requirement changes to selecting the option of the country named as India, right? You don't know the index number now.
Mhm.
Okay. Now
Okay.
you have to select the country with this name. Then what will you do?
Then I can use select by visible text. And there I will put the India in the circular braces. So it will go for the India option. It will find out and then show me.
Mm-hmm. So you'll be using this as a text. Would you be using
Right.
any for loop to run the loop in all the drop-down values?
I think I am having the method directly, so I will not go for the loop because it will run multiple time and it will check each time. So
Mm-hmm.
to save my time, I can directly use this method.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So let's say you are using select option by text. Okay.
Mm.
Now let's change this scenario. Okay. Now you have to select India from drop down and you have to launch a Windows based application. This is also a part of automation only that you have to do. Okay. And then you have to get country name from drop down. Okay. Now this is a website. Okay. This is a web-based thing that you have to do. This is again a web-based thing you will do. Now you have to launch this Windows-based application and you have to perform some action in this. So how will you automate it?
Actually, I didn't get the second point,
Okay.
launch Windows
Okay.
application.
Okay. Fine. So let's make this scenario. Okay. So first of all, this is a website where you have to select India from the country dropdown. Okay. Now you have to launch, there is a Windows based application. Okay. In which there is a series of pin codes written.
Okay.
Okay. And again, it's a, you can consider it's also a drop down.
Okay.
And you have to select some pin code which is there at the 6th place, right? And you have to get that pin code, store it in one variable, and
Okay.
again, you have to come to this website. And after selecting India, you have to get the country name from the drop down option. Okay, so these 3 points you have to achieve via the automation script. Then how will you automate it? Hmm.
Can I take 2 minutes to think?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Take your time.
Thank you. See, I need to like clear one thing. If I select the India from the drop down, so it will redirect me to the some other page. Is it like this?
No, no. So
Will not.
yeah, so this will be there itself. You will be placed on the same web page, right? This is a
Okay. Okay.
separate application altogether in which you have to launch this application and there is a list of pin codes drop down and you have to get the pin code at the 6th place, right? So this is a web application. This is a desktop based, Windows based application. Okay. And then again, you have to come to this web based application. So I'll give you a hint. Have you heard about Venium?
No.
Right. So Selenium is, with the help of Selenium, it is possible to automate web-based applications, right? With the help of Venium, you can automate desktop-based applications. So Venium is nothing but it's a third-party tool that can help you to automate Windows or desktop based application. So what you can do is you can keep this in a separate method if required in a separate class, right? And then you can use this Venium. You can launch this Windows based application, continue all these things. Once these are done, again you can have this as a separate script, right?
Okay,
Yeah, so
got
this
it.
is how you can automate. Again, you can also automate via PowerShell scripting. Okay,
Okay,
so that
I
also you
will
can
check for
use.
this.
Yeah, so that also you can use. Okay. Okay, now have you worked on database testing before?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So how will you validate? How do you perform database testing? Let's go with that first.
Okay, so generally what I do is like I'm having like always I'm having the transaction ID or the request ID which is unique. So with the help of that I just extract the data from the database. Like I am using currently Oracle. So there are multiple tables I am having for the customer and for the merchant, their profiles and their wallet transactions and multiple type of transactions.
Hmm.
So as I want to check whether my transaction got success or failure, for that I use the database. Like if it is success, then how it becomes success, and if it is failure, then why it is getting failure. So everything, every reason I'm getting in the database table. Sometimes I also use to database to update my tables, to update some data in the table. So mainly I used to perform two operations there to select something or to update.
Hmm.
Rest, I am not having any rights to delete or like adding the new field in the table.
Okay. Okay. Do you know about stored procedures?
Stored procedure.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay. Okay. Now let's say you have to run your regression test, right? There is a release that is coming up after 2 days. So today is 14th November. You have a release on 17th of November, and you have n number of regression test cases that you have to perform. Okay. Now,
Yes.
how will you run your test cases in a regression suite? How will you identify and which test cases you will run?
So basically, what we do is like we already created the regression suite where we have mentioned all such cases which are high level cases and those cases which may be infected due to my other cases. So I've created a test suite like this and I just used to run it. Uh,
Okay. So, how many scenarios are there in
Okay,
your
so like
regression
there are
testing?
multiple modules. Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
let's suppose there are 10 modules. So I've picked the major test cases from that so that I can prepare my regression suite and I can run those cases that may impact my basic functionalities. So the major ones I have picked, and for that I've created my regression test suite.
Okay. Okay. Can you elaborate the QA process that you have been following? So, you have to keep it on a generic level, right? The QA process, right from testing any functionality or user story to getting some bug fixed, right? Retesting it. So, what is the end-to-end cycle that you are performing?
Okay. So initially I get the requirement document, which I used to go through. And if in case I'm not able to understand anything in between, I just connect with the product team or the product owner. So they just confirm me whatever the functionality is in. And once I'm done with the document review, I just go for the test cases writing, where
Mhm.
I've written the all the test cases like functional test cases, UI test cases, and everything I covered there. And
Mm.
after that, once I get the build, I just initially perform the smoke testing there just to check whether my build is stable or not for further testing.
Okay.
And like at the time of testing, in case of any issue I found, I just use the Jira tool to report that bug to the concerned developer and mark the status as like pending with the team which is working over there. So once they will be fixing the bug, they assign back to me, and I just cross check that if it is working fine. So I just marked it as closed. If it is not fixed yet, I just reopen it and mark the status as reopen and assign them again. And once they will fix the issue again and assign back to me, cross check whether it is fixed or not. And if all the issues are fixed related to my module, so I just like sharing the testing report, and after that I shared my test cases whichever I have written with the concerned teams, with all the stakeholders, and I just go for the closure of the end-to-end testing. That's how I work.
Okay, great. So how do you keep yourself updated with the latest tools those are coming in the market?
Usually, what I do is like I search on the Google whatever is like running in the market and which is trending. So I just kept myself updated and work upon that with the help of YouTube videos or any other content I got. So that's how I update myself.
Okay, great. Yeah, so thank you so much, Neha, for coming on our channel and giving this mock interview. It was nice talking to
Thank
you. Yeah, and do you have any questions for me?
Yes, actually, I'm having some questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like currently,
Okay, okay, just a second. Yeah.